Okay, guys, it's October 30th. Just want to give real quick before I introduce Tyler, did want to let you guys know. Some of you guys know I was doing the 101 stuff on 3 o'clock on Mondays. I postponed today. The VA called me this morning and they approved my two implants. I have a 45-day window I can get them. So they actually required me to go get a third COVID shot, which I didn't want. I wouldn't have got otherwise, but I've been fighting. You guys know, you've heard me talk about it before. So just to let you guys know, that's why I canceled. That's just public. So you guys aren't as affected being associates, because you guys are in the associates group, but just to know why I postponed that I had to go to the VA at 2 o'clock and get a shot, which sucks. That's why I'm kind of like feeling dizzy a little bit. So I'm going to introduce Tyler Reed. He's here as an invited guest at Casey. So he's going to talk about wholesaling. I know some of you probably have done it. Some of you haven't. Most people in our group haven't. He's also going to talk about novations, which is something new to me. So I'll be learning something. Normally most of the time I'm presenting material for you guys, but I'll actually be learning something tonight. So feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll try to get to them if Tyler doesn't get to them. But Tyler, go ahead. You have the floor.
Awesome. Well, hey, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I'm super honored to be able to be on here and give you guys some knowledge, and hopefully I can give enough extensive knowledge where you guys can be able to take it and make something with it. So like I said, thank you so much for allowing me to come on here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Casey, for giving me the opportunity, and it's nice to meet all of you guys. And like he mentioned, I believe his name is Nate. Nate, I put all of my contact information down in the chat box, so feel free to save my phone number. You have that, my email. My email is deals@novationsdispositions.com, and our website is novationsdispositions.com as well. So feel free to check those out. And so let's just get right into it. So I know Nate mentioned that some of you guys aren't completely familiar with the concept of wholesaling. So it's pretty simple, honestly. So basically what wholesalers do is there's lots of wholesalers in the market, right? It's a way to get into real estate without having to have any capital up front. And that's the biggest barrier to a lot of people when they're joining, trying to get into the real estate space, is not having any capital. A lot of people think that you have to go work a job for a period of time, save up a period of money, or a sum of money, and then be able to get a rental property, for example, or an Airbnb. And that's actually not the case. There's actually multiple ways to get into real estate without having any of your own capital. There's lots of different ways for creative financing as well. Now, novations, which I'm going to get into here in a little bit, are actually one of those exit strategies that is a little bit more creative than your typical just wholesale. And like I said, I'll dive into that here in a little bit. And so basically what wholesalers do is they come into the market and they are finding properties that they can make an offer on, that the homeowner is willing to accept the offer, and they take that offer, that contract, and they turn around and they assign it to an end buyer, typically an investor or someone who's looking to fix and flip properties. So for example, most wholesalers are looking to get 70% of ARV, or after repair value, of the home minus repairs. Now, we'll say, for example, that is say it's $100,000 house, to make numbers easy. What they're going to do is they're going to offer, and say it takes $20,000 in rehab. What they're going to do is they're going to take 70% of ARV, which is going to be $70,000, minus that $20,000 that it's going to cost for the rehab. And then they're going to take that to whoever the investor or the fix and flipper, or whoever it is, and they're going to say, hey, listen, I have this property under contract. They don't have it as ownership. Their name is not on title. They have the property under contract to purchase it. Now, what they do is they put on an assignment fee. So if we go back to our formula there, on a $100,000 house, they're going to offer 70% of ARV minus repairs. So if it's $20,000, they're going to be offering $50,000 to the homeowner of a homeowner who has a property that's worth $100,000. Now, if that homeowner says yes, what they're going to do is they're going to turn around, put a $10,000 assignment fee on it. For example, 10 to 20,000 is typical. Between 10 and 30, 30 is a little bit high depending on your price point, but you can pull out a $30,000 assignment fee. What they're going to do is they're going to take that $50,000 promised contract or purchase contract from the homeowner, and they're going to put a $10,000 assignment fee on it. They're going to turn around and they're going to sell it for $60,000 to a fix and flipper or an investor. Okay, they didn't have any money in the deal at all. Zero. They came into it. All they did was simply find a homeowner, a motivated seller, someone who's willing to get rid of the property. They come to him and they say, hey, listen, I'm willing to give you $50,000 for the property. Is that a number you're okay with? The homeowner says yes. They say, excellent. They take the contract, they put a $10,000 assignment fee on it, sell it to an investor for $60,000. They pocket $10,000 and they're not a part of the deal at all anymore. The investor gets it, they fix it up, and they either resell it or they rent it out, whatever their exit strategy may be. And so that's as simple as wholesaling is. It's a really simple concept. You're simply just finding a property that needs some rehab, or it might be a little bit outdated, and you're getting it for a discount, and you're putting an assignment fee on it and selling it to an end buyer, an investor, or a fix and flipper typically. Now, that is what traditionally most people who are getting into real estate without any money, that's generally what they do. Now, like I mentioned before, there are multiple different creative finance strategies and ways to acquire properties without actually having to have any of your own money. For example, you have subject to, where you can actually assume a mortgage of a homeowner who already has a low interest rate. Or seller finance. Maybe a homeowner has the house paid off. They have 100% equity in the home. They can actually act as the bank. You discuss with them and you guys come up with the terms, whatever their terms are that they want. They can say, I want a 25-year or a 30-year or a 40-year at 4% or 7 or 6%. Typically, the seller finance route is so that you don't have to go with the 7% or whatever rates are at right now, 7.6, 7.7, so that you can get a lower rate. That's also why subject to is so powerful, because you can just assume mortgages at the lower interest rate. It's really, really cool. And if someone remind me at the end here to tell you guys about buy downs. Those are super interesting too. And it's something that we've just discovered, my partner and I, here recently. Now, what we do as another creative exit strategy are something called novations, where basically what we do is we have two models. We use an equity split model and an equity protection. The equity protection model is where we have wholesalers reach out to us and they say, hey, we have a property under contract, because we get all of our leads from PPC, wholesalers, agents, just our network, a lot of them from our network and from our PPC is pay per click. So ads that we're running. So these wholesalers, or wherever the lead comes from, they come to us and they say, hey, we want to sell our property. And we say, okay, great, awesome. How much are you looking to get out of it? And they say, for example, a homeowner says, I want $200,000. Well, with an equity protection, since we are not actually closing up front with a novation, with novations, you are never closing on the property. You're never closing up front. So since we don't have to close up front, we don't have to pay those closing costs and the holding costs and the utilities. In turn, you guys remember our formula for wholesalers where they're at 70% of ARV minus repairs? Okay, great. Now, instead of having to be at 70%, because we don't have to account for closing costs and realtor fees and holding costs, we can actually buy at 83% of ARV minus repairs. Now, due to that, you're actually able to beat out any investor, any wholesaler, or any fix and flipper in the area almost every single time. Because, for example, if you put it on a larger scale, if you are trying to sell $1 million property, my max offer, if I was a typical wholesaler, is going to be $700,000 on a $1 million property. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, if you're willing to sign what's called a novation contract with me, I'll give you $830,000 for the property. All I need is a little bit of time to be able to come in here and find a third party end buyer. And that homeowner is going to go with me every single time, right? Because on a larger scale, I'm giving them $130,000 more than the typical investor or wholesaler or fix and flipper that is reaching out to them trying to offer them 70% of ARV minus repairs. And if you guys network enough and you chat with enough wholesalers and fix and flippers, you'll hear that 70% minus ARV or 70% minus repairs. And you'll hear it all the time, all the time, all the time. And then once you guys are networking and networking, I'm sure multiple of you guys have probably already heard this formula before. That's why these novations are so special, is because we simply come in, we take a property that's off market with our equity protection model. We have the homeowner hold title. We have them sign an novation indemnification and an attorney in fact. The attorney in fact is what allows us to be able to sign off on listing agreements and list the property on the MLS. So now another fantastic part about novations is when they sign a novation agreement and an attorney in fact, that opens our buyer pool to conventional financing. Now we don't have to find a cash buyer or an investor or a fix and flipper to buy our property. We can sell it to anyone who is qualified to get an FHA or a VA loan or any type of conventional financing. So that opens up, like I said, the buyer pool drastically. And if you have a good agent, you can sell the property because properties are selling like crazy right now. I know everyone's saying that winter is coming, winter is coming, winter is coming, and house prices are going to go down, or house sales are going to go down. I don't believe it. I personally just left a meeting here about 2 hours ago to develop a neighborhood out on a lake nearby. Now, why am I doing that? Because pay attention to the markets, read the markets. They are house price or house sales are down. Why are they down? Not because people are not buying houses. And you guys need to be paying attention to the market all the time. It's because the demand is not there. We don't have the supply, or not the demand, I apologize. We don't have the supply. The supply of homes is not where it needs to be. There's a massive housing crisis in the United States right now, specifically affordable housing. And so if you guys can find these properties and you can learn this novation strategy or any of these other exit strategies or wholesaling, whatever the case may be, whatever route you decide to go, you can actually learn and find so many good deals and sell so many properties still. So going back to the novations a little bit, to go back to our second model, which is the equity split model, and the model that we can actually help you guys with. We can help you with protections as well if you guys were to want to do novation protections. What that model looks like is we find a homeowner who has a property that needs updates or it needs rehab. Okay. Now, the way it works is we come to the homeowner and we say, hey, we're willing to give you $200,000, for example, for your property. Well, the ARV or the after repair value might be worth $400,000. If the homeowner is willing to take $250,000 because that's how much it's worth, around $250,000, we'll say $250,000. That's how much the property is worth as it sits. Right? So they say, yeah, we'll take $250,000. We say, okay, great. All we need is time and access to the property, and then we'll be able to get you that full amount. And you know what? We're going to cover closing costs and realtor fees as well. We cover closing costs and realtor fees on every single transaction that we do as another incentive. And so what we do is we come in and we actually partner with the homeowner. They hold title, just like the protection model. We come in, we perform the rehab, we put up the rehab cost, we get it up to the new 2023 HGTV standards, and then we list it on the MLS on the homeowner's behalf. Now, doing that, we can get a top-notch price, and we just keep whatever value we add through the renovation process. So we have a $250,000 promise price to the homeowner, right? We're going to come in and say it's $50,000 in renovation. We're completely invested in this thing at $300K. We're going to list it for $400,000 and we're going to walk away with $100,000, right? Now that's before closing costs and realtor fees. On $400,000 or on a $400,000 house, we'll say $40,000 roughly for closing costs and realtor fees. We account for about 10% to play it conservative every time. So we're going to walk away with about $60,000 when really we only had to invest $50,000. Right? We didn't actually have to invest $250,000 because they held title. We didn't have to close on the property. So we actually made 110% cash on cash return just by doing a novation. And we got the deal over this investor, this wholesaler over here, because we were able to offer much more money for the property due to not having to close up front. So like I said, it's a super, super interesting model. There's all kinds of information everywhere out there that you guys can find it in. We have a private community, and I know you guys are in a private community here. And like I said, I put my phone number and my information in the chat. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. I would love to answer any questions and help anyone with any structuring deals or anything like that. Now, all you have to have for a novation is a novation indemnification contract, which is just a purchase and sales agreement, but it's called a novation indemnification. You need an attorney in fact, and if you're going to do the model, the split model, the equity split, where you have to put capital into the property, what you need is to put a lien on the property to protect yourself. Now, what you do from there is you can do this all over the nation if you have the capital or the connections for it. You just simply reach out to an agent in the area. We reach out to 3 to 5 agents per property. We have the agents go walk the property. They give us their estimated ARVs and however much they think it's going to cost to renovate. And then we have them call 4 to 5 GCs or general contractors to come walk the property. They give us bids. Once they've given us all of their bids, we take the best bid with the highest quality work. And then we have the agent walk the property once a week, call us and give us updates. So we don't even ever have to touch the property. I don't ever have to see it in person. We just have them take care of everything. The agents, the contractors, we don't ever have to go to the property. Now, the agent's going to take care of all of the buying and all of the TC work for us as well, the transaction coordination. The agent's going to do all of that if you find a good agent. You may have to have someone in-house. We use an in-house, or not an in-house, we use a TC company called Easy REI. His name is David Olds. They are, and this is important to know, not every single title company will transact a novation agreement because lots of them are not familiar with it. Now, after this call, all of you will have more information on novations than anyone you know. This is a very small niche. Not many people are doing novations because not many people know about them. And fun fact, they actually started in commercial real estate and then transitioned into residential. A lot of people in commercial would do novations on warehouses and things like that, where they would come in, they would have the owner hold title, they would come perform renovations, get it up to new standards, get tenants in there, and then sell it at a higher cap rate. Super interesting. And then they came to residential. So it's a really, really cool model. There are risks involved with doing novations compared to just a regular wholesale. For example, I mean, there's pros and cons to every single type of exit strategy that you can come up with or that you can find. And I would really urge you guys to look into subject to and seller finance because that allows you to personally acquire the property without having to put any capital up front. Typically, it's really, really cool. So anyway, some of the risks involved in with novations is if the new party to the contract is unable to meet their obligations, the original buyer or seller may still be held liable. So if we can't sell the property after the first one listing agreement of 90 days, we'll either just reevaluate the situation. And if we've been getting good traction, we may relist it. But typically, we'll just purchase the property and rent it out. Now, we may be out of pocket a little bit of money, but we can still purchase it and rent it out to a tenant and then sell it later if we need to. Now, novation agreements can be complex and they can absolutely be time consuming as well. It's going to take you guys a little bit to kind of get familiar with the terminology and understand the contracts because they are slightly different, but it's nothing too hard to understand. Anyone can do it. Now, if the novation agreement is not properly drafted and executed, that can also be an issue. So you guys need to make sure that if you have any lawyers or anyone like that can look over the contracts, that they would do that and that they'll do that for you because that's highly important. But that being said, there's also lots of benefits to it. Like it can allow buyers and sellers to make changes to their contracts without having to start over from scratch. It's really unique. So you can come in and you can change a contract without having to restart the entire sales process. It's incredible. It can also provide flexibility and peace of mind for buyers and sellers who are facing unexpected life changes. You don't have to sell the property as fast as possible or be somewhere immediately. You can sit back and relax and let our company or another company that's doing novations take care of the whole process, and you just wait to collect your check. It's really, really cool. Now, it can also help to avoid disputes and delays by clarifying the terms of the contract and resolving any issues between the parties. Because I will say this, it is a bit difficult to get homeowners to understand how novations work until you can break it down as a simple partnership. And personally, I don't even mention the word novations until we've gotten to the point where they've agreed that they're willing to work with us as partners first. Once they say, yeah, I would be willing to partner up with you on this property, we say, okay, great. This is how it works. You're going to have to sign something called a novation indemnification. And then after they've already agreed to the partnership, that's nothing crazy or scary to them. Even though they don't know the terminology, they know what it means, right? So personally, if you guys are pitching this, once you learn it and you learn the exit strategy, I would just mention it as a partnership initially. And then once it comes to the contract, say, hey, listen, since we had this agreement to be partners, this is what that is what this is a novation agreement. And it allows us to be partners on the deal. We have all of the authority for the most part. You still have, your name is still on title. You still have the power of attorney. However, we have placed a lien on the property, and they will see all of that and they will know all that. Now, typically, if you're a good, honest business person and you have a good, honest business, homeowners are okay with that. They're completely fine. And then you just pay the lien off once the property is completed and you've sold the property. So it's a super, super simple process. It's really not too difficult. Now, with all these other exit strategies, I don't want to dive into those too much because I don't have as much experience with those. However, I do urge you to look into those for yourselves, all of you, because subject to and seller finance are absolutely phenomenal. You can acquire properties and start a rental portfolio that way, especially if your seller is willing to do seller finance, then you can still cash flow a few $100s while paying your mortgage to the homeowner. It's very, very cool, or to the seller. So, like I said, anyone can do this. All you guys have to do is put your head down. You have to stay focused and you have to learn. Be a sponge. The number one thing that I would say that has contributed to any amount of success in my life or anything business related, because I'm not where I want to be. I haven't accomplished things I want to accomplish yet, but I am on the way. And the number one thing I would say is to have a vision. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what that looks like. It can't just be, I want $100,000 in my bank account and 6 months. No, it needs to be a vision. What does your future look like? In 5 years from now, what does your future look like? Or in 10 years from now? Or what does it look like when you come home from work and your Porsche and you walk through the garage and your wife kisses your head? Or whatever the case may be, you must have a vision. And I think that that is the most important part. And when you have your vision and you know why you're working every single day, it makes things much easier and more enjoyable, in my opinion. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on here and kind of chop it up with you for a little bit and explain these novations. And I hope that I did a good enough job. It's very confusing to understand until you've read it over and over again. And so I'll just kind of go back over it real quick and then I'll open it up for any questions that you guys may have. So basically, we have two different models. With novations, what you're doing is you're coming to a homeowner, you're asking to partner with them, and you're selling their property on their behalf. Whether that takes renovations or no renovations at all. You're just coming in and you're selling the property for more than what the homeowner is asking for the property. You come in, you list the property on the MLS on their behalf with a novation indemnification and the attorney in fact. And then once you sell the property, you have the promised price to the homeowner, you pay them and you pocket the rest. It's very, very cool. Now, there's lots of different scenarios where you can do this. A good novation deal, what does that look like? It looks like this. I'm a wholesaler and I come to a homeowner and they want $200,000 for the property. Well, as a wholesaler, my max allowable offer is going to be $160,000, for example. Well, that's a great time. That's a great time to go ahead and say, hey, would you be willing to do a novation on this deal? Or would you be willing to partner with us on this deal? If so, we can actually give you much more than 160. Say the homeowner wants 170, but you're a wholesaler. So your max offer is 160. You can say, hey, I'll come in, and if you're willing to partner, I can give you that 170 number that you're looking for, and maybe even $5,000 more. Why? Because you're going to hold title. I'm not going to take title. You're going to hold title. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to market the property for you and perform some slight renovations to maybe some lipstick, maybe clean up the yard and make it look a little bit cleaner. And then once I do that, I'm going to relist it for you, Mrs. Seller, Mr. Seller. And then I'm just going to take whatever value I add in the middle and give you your promised price of $170,000. Does that sound good? And he's going to say, wow, yeah, sure. Or he's going to say, well, I don't know. I need my money fast. And you're going to say, okay, well, would you be open to a pre-release of funds from the total that is promised to you? Would that incentivize you to partner with us? And they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, potentially. How much can you give me for a pre-release? And then that's up to you. At that point, that's for you to negotiate with the homeowner. What do they need the money for? Do they need the money to go put a down payment on a new property? If so, then yeah, you need to give them a pre-release if that's what you want or if that's what they're looking for. If you want the deal, they need a pre-release for a new down payment. However, if they just want the money for something to go buy a new car or whatever the case may be, you may say, hey, listen, the pre-release, we can only give you X amount to incentivize them. And if they're okay with that, then great, you got the deal. If not, creative finance is incredible. And there's lots of ways that you can change a contract or put anything in there that would benefit both of you. And that's one thing that I would say is novations absolutely benefit every party involved. For example, and this is the last thing I'll say before I open it up for questions. For example, if I come to a homeowner who's trying to sell a property on market and it's listed on Zillow and it needs some updating, but the properties around it are selling for $50,000 to $100,000 more than what it's listed for, I can come in and I can say, hey, are you willing to partner with us? And they're going to say, yes. Let me talk to my agent. Their agent is going to talk to me, and I'm going to tell the agent, hey, listen, we're getting this property for $200,000. The homeowner is willing to take that, but we're going to put some renovation costs into it, and we're going to sell it for $350,000. Would you be willing to list that? And the agent's going to say yes every single time, because now instead of listing a $200,000 property, they're listing a $350,000 property. We make money, the agent makes more money, and the homeowner gets more money. It creates a win-win-win situation. And that, simply put, is why novations are so incredible. I hope that I provided some good value. Nate, Casey, like I said, thank you both for having me on here. I appreciate it very much. And any questions that anyone has, I would love to answer them for you to the best of my ability.
Take everybody off mute. Any questions?
There's no questions, no worries at all. And if you guys want a better understanding of novations or just another overview breakdown of it, novationdispositions.com is our website. There's a complete overview of how novations work, this difference between the two models that we utilize, and exactly how a novation contract should work throughout the entire process. It's really, really cool. So I urge you guys to check that out. Yeah, take a look at it. It's really cool. Or I can even, if you want.
I do just to see the forms, because with 93 people, we can probably get a lot of people excited about it once people watch the video.
Absolutely.
So you talked about off market. What if we find something on market? How would that look?
Yeah, absolutely. So the off market is going to be for the novation protections. The protections have to be off market. Now, those are the ones where we're not going to put any capital into the property. We're just relisting it on the MLS as is. The novation split model, however, is where you can find properties on market or off market. I personally like to have my team go on Zillow, go find a city with a large population, go to filters, scroll down to the keywords, and type in TLC. If you type in TLC or any other words or needs rehab or investor fixer upper, whatever the case may be, right? All kinds of words you can use for it. A ton of properties are going to pop up on Zillow that are listed and have potential to be renovated and relisted on the MLS. So if you're putting rehab into it, it doesn't matter. You can do any on market or off market. However, the protection model where it's going to be zero rehab just must be off market.
Cool. Anybody else have anything?
Hey Tyler, I have a real quick question, Tyler. It's brilliant that you partner up and make it work, and using the word partner is brilliant. As far as protecting your investment and putting a lien on a property, how do you document, or can you even if I anticipate putting $30,000 into a project, do I put a $40,000 or $50,000 lien, or do I have to itemize what I put into the project? How do you protect your investment?
Yeah, so you can do the amount of rehab costs that you put into it, or you can just transact. You can get with your transaction coordinator and you can discuss with them and see what price they think is fair to put on it. We personally have our TC company, Easy REI. They take care of all of that. We don't have to do any of that. That is for Easy REI and my transaction coordinators to take care of. But typically it is this a little bit more, $5,000 to $10,000 more than whatever the rehab cost is that you put into the project.
That sounds good. That sounds like a good deal. I'll check out that company too, because
How do you find a transaction?
How do we find a transaction coordinator?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
how would I find one? Is that something local? Is that something that's easy to just look up? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of companies that do TC. Chicago Entitled does Novations. Easy, it's E, actually, it's the letter E and then the letter Z, REI. Those are transaction coordinators.
Okay.
They'll take care of everything. And then if you guys are on Facebook, we actually hired an in-house TC for a couple weeks just by simply going on Facebook and typing in looking for a transaction coordinator who has experience. Now, we've let her go because
Right.
this Easy REI company only charges us a monthly fee of $2,500 for up to 25 transactions a month. And so she was wanting $2,000 per transaction. And so that obviously, as you can probably assume, cut down, we saved a lot of money there. But Easy REI is a really good one with David Olds, Chicago Title. Those are the two that we know of that will process novation agreements. And then Facebook, oh my goodness, you can find the most craziest connections on Facebook. If you're just in as many real estate groups as you can possibly be in, get in these groups, make posts. Hey, I'm looking for a transaction coordinator or a mobile transaction coordinator, someone who is willing to come in and take care of the entire TC work for each one of my deals that we have come in, and then I'll pay you X amount per deal, whatever that price looks like for you guys.
yeah, and the other thing, Sean, we may be able to also talk to Gwen since she's doing our TC work for the EMD and Gap. She may or not do
Right,
it, but
right.
she may have a
Yeah,
resource. Yeah.
oh, she'll know what we're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, I'll send the video over to her. I mean, she worked at the Federal Reserve. She knows, she was doing much larger transactions
Right,
than we
right.
ever do. She was moving $100 billion at a time for the government. So I'll talk to her and also obviously she'll see the video. So she's already getting set up to do the EMD and Gap transactions for us. So we'll talk to her, but I'll talk to this company Tyler talks about too. We'll look at all that stuff and get the resources for everybody.
Well, she seems like she's a pretty good connection to have. She can probably do it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'd have to see if she's got time to do it because she's onboarding some people funding Gap deals for us. And then we have
That's awesome.
associates to associates who are going to be doing EMD to each other and
Very
eventually
good.
going outside. We got all that set up, and we're going to go over a couple of forms tonight that she and I put together, and then
That's
I'm also
great.
going to go over a couple of things. But yeah, dude, appreciate it because this is something I've seen posted a few times. Like I've seen somebody talk about it on Bigger Pockets. I've seen some other
Yeah.
groups, and so I was interested in it. So when Casey told me about it, I jumped on it because we
Yeah.
definitely need to get it. We definitely need to get the resources.
Well,
And
it's
get
a
more resources.
fantastic way to turn dead leads as a wholesaler into profits, right? Because and that's what when we started our company, that was what we prioritized, is we prioritized networking and reaching out to wholesalers who have a lead list of dead leads, right? Where, hey, we reached out and we said, hey, send us the leads where your offer was just slightly not enough, and we'll call all of them back. And we'll have our team ring every single one of them, and then we'll just offer them more money, and then we'll split profits with you. And that's where the majority of our profits have came from, is wholesalers dead leads and wholesalers sending us deals where their offer was just slightly less than what the homeowner wanted for the property.
Yeah, so that's a
Thank you
good
for your
deal.
time, Tyler. Nothing short of brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
was awesome. I appreciate it because that's just another strategy. Because one of the things, and I'll actually send you an invitation to our group so
Please.
you can come in as an expert. Because I mean, just to help people get used to start doing it all, you can work. That'll help a lot. Introduce you, and then
Yeah.
that makes it easier too for people to contact you besides your number and your email
Yeah,
because they can hit you up
absolutely.
in the group. And then also, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. I'm going to do a couple things tonight, but I think everybody here has seen the EMD and Gap funds, but the forms. I'm just going to run through them real quick, and then we'll see if Willie comes back because Willie asked for something. If he's not back, I'll go over with him one on one. But I'm just going to really quick show you guys a couple forms now. Keep in mind, I think really, let me get one thing. I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to go ahead and do the. Guys, let me see when you can see this. I have this little glitch thing. Are you guys able to see this? Okay. So this is the EMD request intake form. This is what you're going to want to send to Gwen, and her number is down here, her email. She's going to make two or three changes. She should have it done this week. Basically, just so you guys can see it. Request your name. Do you have a signed purchase order for the property? What your EMD required. You know, if you, and it says be prepared to submit a breakdown of funds. Gap funding request. If you're funding gap funding, put it here now. I'm going out to the whole group because people have asked about gap funding, guys. Remember, we just finished these and put these out last Wednesday. We still are waiting for a number of gap. The people that have talked to us about funding gap deals, they have not returned the form that they fill out yet. So we're in the process of bringing that in. That's why on gap we have a lot of people that have asked us for gap funding. Primarily, a lot more people outside of the group than inside. Keep in mind, EMD is live. We've had a lot of people already submit EMD. If you are listening and you're not on, or you're on, and you want to participate as an investor lender for this program, I'm going to show you guys the form. It is available in the files tab for you guys to fill out, and you can put your terms, how much you're willing to loan. Send that to Gwen right away. If you're willing to do gap, if anybody's out there willing to do gap or know anybody, get that to Gwen right away because she needs all these. She's going to tabulate the amounts we have and structure all the deals. So that way, if somebody's able to put $10,000 into a deal, EMD or gap, she's going to know that if somebody asks for 10,000, if somebody asks for, eventually when we have to put 2 or 3 deals together, she's going to handle that. If you need rehab funds, you are going to want to use a rehab budget. You can use any one of the 3 scope of work forms that we have that I have in files tab. You can use any one of those and give us some kind of a budget if you're looking for rehab, if there's going to be rehab involved. Keep in mind, you guys are going to use Gwen's title company initially. If you guys are doing this, she'll talk to anybody that you're dealing with about working with her title company. We'll reach out to the one that Tyler just suggested as well. Is there a term sheet? Is there a length of EMD? If it's going to be a 1 day, it's in and out, you're doing A to B, B to C, you're doing that 1 day, or is this going to be like a 7 day or up to a 30 day? You don't really want to go to EMD. So the length of EMD is also going to affect the rate. It's going to affect the rate. If you do it on like 1 day in and out, it's going to be really good deal. If you start going a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's going to go up a little bit. When's the expected closing date? Now, Gwen's telling us that we need to have this all ready to go. Whatever she's asking for, you're going to need to get to her on the deadline. She says that you're looking at about 10 business days to get these done, especially if there's appraisals. Well, that's pretty much appraisals for a gap. For gap, there'll be appraisals maybe needed. If needed, you'll need 10 days. EMD, yeah, you just have to let us know when the closing is. You'll have to send us a purchase and sale agreement. If you're any kind of wholesaler, you're doing A to B and B to C, then we'll need both those contracts you can use. Like I said, we got all 4 of them. We got the A to B, we got the B to C, we got the wholesale contract and the purchase and sale agreement. And files tab, you can use all those forms. What the exit strategy is going to be, and then offered repayment plan for EMD investor. Obviously, the EMD investors getting repaid at closing. You guys have seen our form. I'm going to pull up the next form and kind of just go over it, do it really quick because you guys can just download this and everybody here can figure this stuff out. I just want to make sure everybody sees it. And then obviously, if there's an inspection period, remember that this is Gwen. You can obviously reach her in the group at Gwen Hinton, and you can reach her. This is her email address. That is where you'll want to send this. So this is the EMD request intake form. This is the very first form. She'll fill out the second one that I'm going to kind of go over. She'll work with you on that one. This is the one you fill out. Like I said, she's probably going to add 2 more sections to it. It is form fillable, so you guys can just click on it, fill it out, send it to her. So let me go through the next ones real quick because I want to get these done. I need to get to that one to Willie's question from before the night. Sorry. So if you guys this is if you guys are lending your funds, whether it's EMD or gap. So obviously this is you. If you're looking at, if you can put 5,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 your own money, you want to fill this out and get it to Gwen. Obviously it's got her email there. This is what we need right now. If anybody's out there if you're an associate, all the associates that told us that they had 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. We need to get these back to Gwen as soon as possible. So obviously your name, how much you intend to lend, if you have increment dollar amounts. So if you're lending 20,000, but you want to do 4 $5,000 loans, you can put that here. Will you consider gap lending? Yes or no? Keep in mind, gap lending is lengthy, 3 to 6 months or 6 to 12 months. We rarely will go over 12 months. Obviously, you get a final say to approve it before the agreement's written. Gwen will coordinate that with the person requesting gap funding and you. Will you consider EMD investing? Most of the associates, we got 20-something associates tell us that they wanted to do EMD investing. So that's what we need you guys to fill these out and get them back to Gwen if you want to do gap, or you bring anybody on who can do gap, get them back as well. How often do you want to invest? We talked about the rinse and repeat. You could do this like once a week. You could do this quarterly. You could do this, whenever you want. What ROI are you seeking? 5%, 10%, 20%. I really recommend you not going over 20. A lot of the Gators guys, one of the things that really kind of drove us doing this, you find a lot of the Gators were up around the 50% mark. And they were like, they're in some serious potential predatory, all those bad things. So this is a great opportunity to go and undercut a lot of them and make some really good money yourself. How long are you willing to extend lending? So are you willing to, like, if something comes up, are you willing to do an extension? What are your terms for extension? Keep in mind, guys, all the EMD, most of this right now is going to be internally, associate to associate. Now we have people like Casey, we have, his people, Addison, Brian, and all his people that can do, they'll have clients. Willie has clients, Simi has clients, Gwen has a few, Erica has some. I mean, I think Tyler, if you ever have clients that need EMD or GAP, you can bring them to us too. So just keep in mind that we're going to try to be as internal as possible. That way, any glitches and anything, everybody here knows each other. I mean, most everybody's been in the program. I mean, except for the people that were 2020, 21, and 22 that came in. Most everybody's come in through since January. So we're going to try to do this as much as we can, associate to associate. And Gwen's going to structure all this. So like I said, if you had any interest at all, and people have told me that if you're listening, get this form filled out, send it to Gwen as soon as possible, because she needs to start tabulating. And, we're going to start having people send in, requests. So that is the EMD and gap funding intake, investor intake. I don't think this one will change. If she has any questions, she will basically do an onboarding with you one-on-one, basically, confirm everything and make sure. Remember, guys, you are funding the title company or escrow agent directly. You're not sending this to Gwen or us. You are not sending this to anybody but the title and escrow company for funds. You will, on EMD, you will be refunded. I mean, you will be repaid with your return the day of closing you'll get it on the HUD-1 if they use a HUD-1 or the settlement statement. We have put on the agreement, and her title company has agreed to it. They will actually give you a statement the day before closing showing your repayment. So it's a good deal. We're going to try to get, like other title companies. I know Tyler just talked about his, getting title companies on board for this, making sure that they know that if you are lending, you get repaid at closing. GAP is different. A GAP is going to be more involved with the deal than EMD. EMD is like wholesale. I mean, obviously it is tied to wholesaling. You're going to get out of it right at the deal. You don't have anything to do with the deal afterwards. So it's a pretty good situation to be in. So like I said, just download this. It's in Files tab. Let me make sure I can bring this one up. This other one. Because I kind of actually, labeled these wrong so. Now this one I'm going to kind of go show you guys. So those of you guys haven't seen it yet. Can you guys see it? Or not? Doesn't look like.
Yes.
Okay, let me try it one more time. I have a little glitch, Tyler, so everybody here knows it. I was joking about it. For some reason, I have to bring it up twice. So this is our investment agreement for the EMD. Obviously, the investment agreement, we changed the investment instead of lending. That was a Gwen suggestion. Agreement is entered into on date and between investor and borrower. So we're using, like I said, investor instead of lender. The investment is made in relation to the acquisition and closing of escrow to the property is located at. So here I'll have the address. You know, I don't, you'll have to ask Gwen if she's gonna be the transaction coordinator on this. You may end up with like the actual, you know, lot description, all that, the official. That'll be up to her. She'll handle all this. Keep in mind that she has a flat $300 per transaction fee that will be put on at closing, so she'll get paid, you know, the $300 per transaction fee is what she's doing this for, which is actually a pretty good rate. I think, you know, as far as I know, it's not like a flat per month, but you know, Gwen's in-house and her background at the Federal Reserve is just incredible. The kind of deals that obviously they do because they're funding banks, they're doing transactions bank to bank, and you know all that stuff. You guys know what the Fed does. The borrower is engaged in a real estate transaction involving the purchase of the sale of real property. Obviously, the investor has agreed to provide an investment to the borrower in the form of an earning money deposit to facilitate this transaction. The investment will be repaid from the proceeds of the seller's assignment fee at the close of escrow. This must be reflected on the HUD-1 or appropriate settlement schedule. This form must be completed and sent to all parties within 24 hours of close of escrow. And then we put in their assignment fee prior to deduction of the investment and interest proceeds, investment principal and interest proceeds. That was what my attorney told me, call it interest proceeds. It is proceeds. And that's a better way to, a more of a legal way to describe, you know, interest in a way. That the investment principal and interest proceeds shall be paid directly to the investor in the manner prescribed by the direction to pay. Whether it's direct deposit, wire transfer, fees paid by borrower, or paper check. Keep in mind that most of, you know, these title companies are using wire, or very few are using direct deposit. They're starting to. I've only been paid one time when I was brokering by paper check from a title company. And that was just because they were in Denver. I'm in Denver, so I was able to go pick the check up. Most of the time, they're going to send it to you wired, and they're starting direct deposit. If you start doing a lot of deals with certain people, they may split you into like direct deposit. Obviously, it is agreed that all parties agree that this money is not part of the down payment and shall be repaid to the investor named with the interest proceeds owed upon settlement and close of escrow. Should the transaction not close, it's to be refunded entirely to the investor at no cost to them. The escrow agent or title company is required to provide the investor a copy of the settlement statement 24 hours prior to the closing. The repayment shall be line item of statement. I'm not going to go through a lot of it because I've shown this 3 or 4 times. This section right here is the one that I was working on the last couple of days after I showed it to you guys. So this was changed and I put it in bold for it. So that way, and my attorney liked this that I sent it to. He said this is good, it's simple, easy to read. There's not a lot of fine print. So obviously, you know, you get into these you want to put both the percentage and the money. That just makes it clear. Some people are going to go, hey, it's 5%, 10%, or maybe it's 10% of 300,000 is 30,000, or you know, 3,000 if it's 30,000, whatever it is. That way, there's no. I don't like leaving anything ambiguous. You know, I want to make sure that everything's clear, that it's in here. If it has to be duplicated, it's fine. Just to make an emphasis. Governing law, guys, this is one thing I'm going to kind of show you guys. You know, you want to put in there the state or state. So if you're lending on in your state or whatever, you probably want to put the state where the transaction is going to happen. So if you're in Oklahoma and this deal's in Ohio, you want to put Ohio, whatever state for governing law. There really isn't too much law on EMD. EMD lending is something new. I mean, literally, I've only heard about it for about a year or two. So it seems to be like a lot of the new kind of cool stuff. And like I said, when we were in May, you know, April, May, June, when we were talking about other things, we weren't going to do this. I started looking at this because of the way the Gators were being really aggressive and the way they were like, so I said, well, we can do this. We can do this internally. And then we have a product we can take to the public at some point. You know, we can actually go out there, we can perfect this within the group, or within clients that are clients of members of the group. And then we can take it to the public. And everybody can kind of maybe, you know, we can broker fees or whatever. You know, that's all on the table. It's not set up yet, but everything's on the table with this. So obviously you just guys get into witnessing. So it's really quick. It's only a few pages. They did put the initials, make sure, you know, all the initial pages. anytime you guys are creating a document, you want to look at making sure that if it's multiple pages, that every page has initials. And I've even gone to in the past sometimes where I've actually put initials into certain areas, making sure that you go over that. Another thing that's key is defaults. In the event of a default by the borrower, the buyer, the investor may take legal action to recover the investment amount, including any associated legal fees. So guys, and remember everything's changed in writing. So this is just a real simple thing you guys can download on your own. Like I said, if you guys, this will be what you'll fill out with Gwen once you have the terms. She's also going to have a non-circumvention agreement, basically. So at the time when she has final terms for you, when you're doing this, she'll have her own form. Basically, she does all the work. She's not getting paid until closing. So obviously, in the group, I'm not as worried because everybody here gets along. But once we're out in the public, obviously, we need to protect people. If you guys bring a deal to her, you need to tell people ahead of time there's going to be a non-circumvention agreement, and she's going to get paid by the title company at close as well. So this is real simple, guys. Just to kind of go over that. If anybody has any questions about the EMD GAP program, just reach out to Gwen. I'm saying anybody that's not on tonight, that's watching, that was gonna that wants to put their money in fund deals and invest in deals, get that other form, get the funding, that request form back, that you want to be a lender, you want to be a funder, and that way she can have all that programming done and know that, hey, we got, I estimated loosely in August, September that we potentially had $2.5 to $3 million. We have some people that are outside the group that are kind of on the periphery who I'm talking to as well. You guys have heard, like Brian Kramer was on here a couple of times. He's going to be doing it. He's got 4 or 5 friends of his. Got a couple of the lenders. I think we got up to 3 more lenders coming on. Then we're pretty much, I think at that point we're pretty much tapped. As far as we don't really need that. We can cover everything. Guys, between life changing, between Willie Brokers Force, Erica, Gwen, all the other people come in. John, who's coming in next week. We got a couple other guys. We got 3 lenders that I know for a fact are coming in between now and the end of next week, and then we'll be good. And then obviously we're building the one-on-one group. It's slow. It's going to be slow, but we're looking to probably hopefully get a couple thousand people in that group, and that's the group you guys can service as borrowers, as business partners, JV deals. They can bring you wholesale deals. So we had our first person sign up last week. You guys heard Anthony. He came out as a guest. I try to give everybody who joins the one-on-one at least a guest pass to one associate, Sunday night. They'll be able to actually, the one-on-one people will be able to come on to Monday nights to present deals to you guys. They're designed for you guys to do deals with. So we can bring them on. I call it the one-on-one group because it's just like college one-on-one classes. So we want to make sure we educate them. And it's going to be a great program. So we already have our first paying member for that. So real quick, Will, you were asking about that non-circumvention. So I don't know if this is actually going to work. And I know we've gone over it twice, but this kind of isn't a little bit of an involved process. Let me make sure. It takes me a second to get this one up. Unfortunately, this one's slower. So make sure that will work. Okay, guys. As soon as it comes up, let me know. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so this is just me, and you guys can download it if you decide you want this, Willie, because I know you're asking about circumvention. This is the only thing that closest that we have. So if it doesn't work, maybe we can put our heads together and create it, or we can actually modify this one. This one gets down into the agreement. There's this non-circumvention thing. So if you guys see, oh, here you go, item 5. So no circumvention for a period of 6 months. So following the termination of this agreement, client shall not circumvent broker by directing, approaching, dealing, contacting, or entering into a transaction with any funding source introduced to the client by the broker during the term of this agreement. So we can always modify any of the language in here if you want to decide you want to use this. So I don't know if anybody wants, I can just show everybody we'll let you guys kind of look at it. Let me pull it up. Well, it's harder to pull up to this than it is. And it's still in Word. I did save it in PDF, but you guys can actually just even take it and use find and replace and change language. Take out my name, Marshall Capital, and all that stuff, and you can use that for the multi. But I think that might be, this is the closest Willie I have to what you were asking for. So like I said, it just gets down into this area. It's obviously my my brokering agreement, and obviously you guys want to change that when it gets down to like state of Colorado and all that stuff. Make sure you change it if you use it. But is this kind of what you were looking for, Willie, or is something we could modify?
Yep. It
Okay.
just, yeah, that's exactly it. I just need to be protected that the deals are going through me and not around me. Because I'm
Okay.
JVing with a on a loan. And
Yeah.
of course, at that point I'm going to be introducing them to my lender. And I don't want the deals going around me.
Yeah, exactly. So that is, if you want to download it, it is in Files tab. I'll try to
Okay.
make, and then you and I can put our heads together. I didn't want to like shut everybody. Willie asked me before that, before the Zoom. I just didn't have time to get it over to him while I was getting ready for this. So if anybody else wants to look at it, it is available in Files
Oh,
tab. It's a lot easier for you to go through, read it on your own.
all right. So we just go to find and replace to remove whatever we don't need in there, like the Nate Marshall, and then
Yeah, you want to use the
put
state
our
of
fee and
Colorado,
say,
Jefferson County.
okay.
That kind of stuff, put your count. I mean, if you can even take that section out if you want, just save it in Word. And then when you send it out to customers, you want to obviously save it as PDF or make it form fillable. Like Gwen has that program to make things form fillable. So you
That's
could
what I,
probably, yeah, whatever program she has, maybe she can even help you do it. But
all
that's the
right.
best we can. That's an
Yeah, that works.
awesome lawyered up. I've used it 250 times.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So guys, I don't really have that much more to tonight. Wednesday night, we're gonna do scope of work. So everybody needs scope of work and rehab schedules and contractors. Tyler, you're welcome to come if you want to come on and see how we do that. You might find something that I have that you could use for your clients.
Sure, I would love to. And real quick, I just wanted to. I'm a huge advocate for giving information, and this is the last thing I'll say before I hop off here. But I'm a huge advocate for helping people and giving knowledge to anyone willing to help themselves, and anyone in here is willing to help themselves, obviously, and I love that. And so, for anyone who stayed this long or watched till the end of this recording, I guess here's a little gem for you. You guys look into something called cost segregations. If you guys haven't heard of cost segregations, they are absolutely incredible. And you can save lots and lots and lots of money on taxes with cost segregations. And I'll just give you a quick example of how it works. It's based off of the depreciation of an asset. So for example, if you have a commercial property, for example, if for commercial, it's based off of a 39.5 year time period. For residential, it's 29.5 years. So for example, if I buy a commercial property for, we'll say $2 million, and over the course of 39.5 years, it will depreciate $700,000. Once the title is in my name, I can then go ahead and perform a cost segregation and have my CPA do it. Some CPAs don't know how to do it. You have to get a specific CPA, but they can perform a cost segregation, and you can write off the $700,000 that the property would depreciate over a 39.5 year time period as soon as the title is in your name. So you guys can kind of play around with those numbers and dive into that. It is,
Yeah.
it's one of the main ways that the wealthy stay wealthy and don't pay taxes.
Yep. Unless you're in New York, and then no, never mind. A certain person that's
Much
real estate.
respect, Tyler. One of the first mentors I had said that all ships rise on high tide. I appreciate your sharing, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Hey, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. It was an honor, and I appreciate everyone. So thank you, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night.
Yeah, just get my get the group name from Casey, and then just hit me up. And
Yeah, I'll
get you in.
text him the group admin. I'll since I'm mod, I'll approve it when he joins.
And then I'll introduce you as our expert on novations, and hopefully maybe you get some, get to work with some people. It's
Awesome.
definitely we have 93 people. We have probably 7 or 8 more coming on, and then we're pretty much capped. I didn't want to have
Oh.
too many, more than 100 in my one-on-one group's gonna have a couple. We're gonna try to get a couple thousand. We just want to have a lot of people. For these guys as associates, then they're lending money, they're borrowing, they can do all kinds of deals with people like that. Brand new people, try to get them away from the gurus.
That's awesome. I agree. Stay away from the gurus. They want to sell you. They want to sell you the information that we all talk about in these meetings.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we only charge $3.99. I don't know if Casey told you that. I charge $399 for we're putting a virtual program together. It's going to be my back end, and I've been doing this for, I'm just like, you know what? I paid $1,500 to go through my private money broker course in 2017, 18 with Lee Arnold, and I'm like, I'm never going to charge anybody more than what I paid. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous, and I can't believe what some of these guys are charging. And it's like, if once you join the group, go look at Files tab and see how much stuff I have for these guys, and they can all attest to it. And all the guides, we have a lot of guides like self study. People just go
Sure.
through and learn, and a lot of the guides are like the outlines for my virtual program, which I'm
That's
using the
awesome.
same going to use the same backbone as Grant Cardone uses for his 10x, and a couple other. It's a big company called Lightspeed out of Las Vegas that does it. So it's going to be
That's
a
awesome.
virtual program. Yeah, it's going to be really awesome. People can do subscriptions. They can just take a particular track or class or a mini course and have a lot of facilitators. We're also going to kick back 33% of revenue. Once you're in the program, go to Files tab. You'll see PM University or PMA University, 4 or 5 documents that we did in 2019. We're going to launch it in 2020. Obviously, everybody know what happened, so we
That's
couldn't
awesome.
launch it. But yeah, so yeah, definitely hit up Casey. Will get that link. I'll get you in, and you can start working with our people on Novations because that'll help you guys as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. You guys have a phenomenal night. You all have my information, and then I'll be in the group as well. So please reach out with any questions. I'd love to help. I love helping. It's my favorite thing to do. So thank you guys.
And a last little tidbit, because Tyler can probably kind of throw your cuts or tidbits this way on this. I posted a link for unapologetic results. I got Dustin Reyna to actually come on. He's the actual guy who made unapologetic results, and we'll give everybody a breakdown for the group. But he gave us 2 weeks free trial with that link. So just kind of heads up.
Okay,
awesome.
yeah, let me know when you want to do that. You've got the next couple of weeks are pretty flexible, so I'm doing scope of work Wednesday, but you got Wednesday next week, you could do it, or, whatever. Then obviously we're not meeting Thanksgiving week, but Wednesday night, obviously we're going to meet every Monday year round for deal night. And then, that's year round. And then Wednesdays, we're going to only take off Thanksgiving, but we're done after December 12th because we'll be going to the virtual program. So yeah, guys, appreciate it. And if nobody has anything, hit me up in the group. I think Tyler will be in the group in the next day or two. And then watch for some good stuff on there. Got some cool stuff coming out. A lot of stuff finishing up, getting you guys a lot more stuff. I also still owe you guys all just making adjustments to the videos. So I'm going to load those in the chats, the ones that I haven't been putting in there since August. We've got most of them in there from August. It's just, I've got to kind of show you guys, maybe I'll take a screenshot of our chats because you guys know files and guides you can find easy there in the header. The Facebook does. I don't think they do chats. I'll check. If they do, I'll make sure you guys know, but I'm going to upload those last 20 videos or something we've done since July, August. So you guys have all the current videos, and that way we're good. So anybody have anything? If not, I'll see you guys Wednesday. So see you guys Wednesday at 5:30. We're doing scope of work, rehab contractors.
Let's
Cool.
go.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. You look like you did.
I was just saying, let's go.
All right, man. I'll see you guys later. Zeke,
All right.
Doris,
Good
see you
night,
guys.
everybody.
All right, man. Cool.